And we are here. Welcome.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Women of Nerd Culture. We are the Women of Nerd Culture. I'm Sarah, and with me is my co-host Becca.
Hello.
And would you look at that? We've got a guest. It's
Hello.
Phoebes that way.
That way.
Yeah.
Who you may have seen on recent Nerdy Up North podcasts and co-host of Anime Club.
Oh, thanks for
Hi,
having me.
Phoebes.
Hello. It's so nice to be here. You guys are like the super professionals.
Super professionals.
Oh,
You
that's
come
nice.
come
It's
in
nice for you to
costume and
say.
everything.
Oh, yes, we've got to talk about Sarah's costume because I think that kind of gives a hint of what we're kind of doing. We are doing a little bit of a different episode than we normally do because normally we focus on a genre or a collection of things. But this episode we are talking about General Leia. And the lovely Sarah is dressed as Princess Leia.
Well, in the most like basic term, but yes, I tried to get some buns on and a bit of a scarf with this muslin on my head.
I absolutely love your
I
commitment.
love I love Princess Leia as a mum vibe.
Yes, yes.
Well, she
It's
is. She
Yeah,
is
she
yeah,
the
she
she
ruler
is.
is.
of
She
She
yeah.
is.
is. Yeah.
I love
This
it.
is
I
the
love
unseen period between the end of.
Yeah. So yes, apologies straight up because I will be playing with these earpieces the entire time and adjusting my headscarf and everything, and at some point they're probably just going to come off. Um,
but it's a canon event and we are accepting it
but
basically.
yes, it's there. They're probably going to fall out. Actually, I can feel this one's quite loose. But anyway, right. So this episode, we are obviously now talking about Leia for Star Wars because it is May, and which is just it's basically Star Wars month. Um, right. She's been called an icon. She's been called a feminist hero. She was one of Empire magazine's greatest film characters of all time, and UGO Networks listed her as one of the best heroes of all time. Is Leia the hero of Star Wars? Is what we're going to have a look at today. She's been the subject of much feminist analysis, sorry. She's not perfect, but she's defiant, strong, and assertive. She was a welcome change for the portrayal of women in film and TV. George Lucas viewed her as the hero. Mark Hamill said she made Han and Luke look like chumps. But
Highly
before we
agree
get
with
too
that.
far into this character awesomeness, do you remember the first time you guys experienced Leia and what did you think of her? Let's go to Phoebes first as the guest.
Oh my gosh. So my brother is a huge Star Wars fan. And when we were kids, they lived so he's my stepbrother, but call him
Mm.
my brother. And he lived next door to us when we were kids. And he had a Millennium Falcon Lego set. And I can just
All right, yeah.
remember being like so in love with this Lego set. Like just like every time I went over, I just wanted to like, can I see your Lego?
Oh,
Can I
and
see your Lego pet?
and in it there was a little Leah. Yeah. Brother.
Yes.
But in it there was like a little Leah Lego figure, and it was the first like I think maybe the first like lady Lego figure I had encountered, and I
Mm.
was like, I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with the hair. I'm obsessed with the fact that she's like this little gun wielding tiny Lego figure. And then as I got older, obviously we watched the films together. Yeah, and I was like, she's an icon.
yeah.
She absolutely is. So yeah, that was probably my first encounter with Leah. It's actually not the films at all. It's in like probably like 4 years old or something, playing with Lego.
Oh.
Oh, how about you, Becca?
I think mine's the films. I think I've got a very classic route to Leah. I think it was the films. I don't know. I don't think I ever watched them as a family. I don't think I can remember watching those ones. I can remember watching the prequels, the
Yeah.
ones of Anakin. Um,
Mhm.
but I
Mhm.
I don't really vividly remember the first time I met her. But it had to have been the films. It would have had to have been the films. And I can imagine it's the original moment that we meet her. That's the first kind of moment that I've ever kind of there she is. There's Princess Leia at that point. I think the part that I do properly remember is the end of that film where they're all giving out the awards. And, you know,
Right, yeah.
she's stood
Yeah.
there and they're all walking towards her. That's the memory that I've got of her most vividly. So yeah, mine's a classic. Mine's a classic Roots. But what about you,
The
sir?
classic route. No, mine's a bit similar to Phoebe's actually. I mean, I vaguely remember watching Star Wars once or twice when I was little, but I wasn't really following it at the time because I was quite young. Um,
Hmm.
but the first time I really got introduced to it was through the action figures.
Okay.
My friend's
Oh.
dad had a lot out of the packet, and me and my friend used to play with them. And like they had the X-wing, they had the Millennium Falcon, they had like Han, Luke, and they had stormtroopers and Leia, of course. But it was the slave Leia. Um,
Gold
but like
bikini.
Gotta be.
the bikini. I've got something to say about that later.
Me too.
But I remember they had like there was like a grey plastic plinth play like a play bit, and they had a Jabba figure which sat on the top of it, and it even had this little button which opened the cage that you fall down
Yeah,
underneath.
amazing.
Yeah, um, but yeah, that's my first memory of it. But I do have another story about it a little bit later on. So apparently for my A levels, I picked silly subjects. And I had 4 2 to 3 hour exams scheduled for one day,
Ooh.
which the teachers would not let me do.
Thankfully.
Namely, as well, because they would have to supervise as well.
Yeah.
So, what they decided I would do is I would do 3 in one day, and I would do the final one the following day. But, I mean, this was slightly before, I mean, the internet was there, obviously, but
Dial up.
yeah, it was dial up. You didn't have like it was like MSN Messenger days.
Those were the
Yeah.
days.
Yeah, yeah.
All
So to
of us
make
getting
sure,
nostalgia tingles.
yeah, but the messaging services, there wasn't like a TikTok or anything like that, or Discord on your phone. Phones were a bit more basic. So in order to in order for me to stop me finding out the questions for the exam that I was due to do the next day, I had to go home and stay with a teacher.
Ooh.
I had to stay overnight with a teacher, which is something you wouldn't see these days.
Absolutely
But
wouldn't happen
No.
these days.
but yes, I stayed with a female teacher, um, and as part of the entertainment for the evening, you know, it was very weird. We had a meal together, and
That is incredibly weird.
Yeah.
Like, what a social situation to
I
have to
don't know
navigate as a
what norm
teenager.
is. I don't know what you would do these days, but I went home with a single female teacher. We had some food together at her house, and I stayed in her guest room. And for entertainment that evening, instead of looking up stuff for my exam the next day, we sat and watched Star Wars.
That's nice.
I actually believe it was A
Creepy.
New Hope that we were watching.
Nice.
Um, but yeah, I couldn't tell you what happened during my A levels day to day, but that bit really sticks in my head.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Okay, so there's our first experiences of Leia. Um, what have we got anything that we want to really focus on here? I mean, I'm starting with she is a woman who can play with the boys, but doesn't feel like she needs to become one of them.
Yeah. One of my kind of like abiding memories of seeing her on screen for the first time, I was like, oh, here is, and also a heroine that I think really stands up to today's
Mm.
like strong archetypal female. So it's like a real credit, I think, actually, to George Lucas to make her this kind of like really
Yeah.
heroic, smart, sensible, practical character who actually doesn't put up with like a lot of bullshit. Like you see, like you know, there's no pandering to the men being knobs.
Yeah.
Like I love like the back and forth that she has with Han Solo as well. Like
Yeah.
it is very like
It's not a one-sided relationship. There is
no,
a
it's
lot.
equal. That's
Yeah.
exactly yeah.
I like how she actually calls him out for being a scoundrel, but that kind of like didn't really bother her.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, she's got terrible taste in men, but
Yeah.
Don't we all?
But it was kind of like the
but a
thing at
young
the time,
Harrison
like,
Ford who wouldn't.
well, yeah. But it was kind of the thing at the time, like the lovable scoundrel is the one that always gets the girl type of thing. But
Yeah.
yeah.
So what is
Yeah.
our favourite moments of her then?
I love her on Hoth. For me, like the moment you see her become like General Organa is in the battle on Hoth, and like in terms of Star Wars, that's one of my favorite like parts of Star Wars anyway, because I just think the battle on Hoth has everything. It's got
Yeah.
like fun fighter pilots. It's got like the big AT-ATs as well, like the
Yeah.
kind of the fear that you feel when you see a big machine roll into screen on Star Wars, and the plucky young rebels have to like figure it out. But there you see her having to make some really tough decisions, and having to weigh up like the lives of men versus the victory in the rebellion, and like seeing her hold her own in that space, while also having this kind of like slightly awkward but like kind of, you know, I love you, I know, like there's that classic moment
Yeah.
with Han Solo as well, so you see like a kind of more soft human side of her as well in that moment. Yeah, for me that's like peak Leia.
Yeah. My favourite moment probably will surprise you, but it's the moment she strangles Jabba the Hutt.
I think that's a great
And
pick.
obviously it's not because of the bikini that most people do. It's because she uses the chains that he has imprisoned her with. It's such a powerful symbol of strength, resilience, and refusal to be a victim. And that is what I love about this character. She refuses at every single point of her life, whether it's a child, whether it's, you know, the princess, whether it's a general, whether it's a mother. She refuses to be a victim of anything. And I absolutely love that about this character.
And she never is the damsel.
No,
Never is
that
the damsel.
100%.
And I think that is a real shift in like women on cinema that you see with Princess Leia. Is she never, and like even when she's being rescued, like the first scene you see her in, she like whacks him round the head, doesn't she? Like as he goes into the door, like she's ready to take him hostage.
Yeah.
I mean, what I really liked about In A New Hope is she's not afraid to like be shoot or be taken prisoner. She's really brave, and like especially in the scene when she's talking to Tarkin, and he basically says she's going to be executed to her face. She just looks him straight in the eye and says, "You'll not win."
Yeah.
No reaction to the execution at all. It's just kind of like, well, yeah, and
yeah. She's a leader, isn't she? In that, like even from right at the beginning. Yeah.
One of my favorite bits, I think, I'm going to kind of tag on to Becca's here. The rescue of Han, how she ends up in Jabba's den, I guess. You know, I wouldn't put it past her if this was the whole entire plan. That was what she planned to do from the very start. I'm going to go in there, make it look like a failed attempt at rescuing him, get captured, X, Y, and Z, you know, kill Jabba while I'm there, and make it out the other side because Luke's coming in later to try to like do all this, that, and the other. But I seriously would not have put it past her for that to be the entire plan.
Yeah. I always read it as it was a bit intentional that they both that both her and Luke get into Jabba's palace, like that.
Yes.
Part one.
It's my headcanon. I refuse to accept any other headcanon.
Yeah, it feels right, 100%. And also that bit where she tosses him the lightsaber as well, just when he's like just about to be like sucked down. Yeah, so good.
But I mean, sorry.
No, I was just going to kind of say, like, she's not hiding the fact that she's a woman still. She wasn't afraid to take the lead and be bossy, but she doesn't have to be sexless at the same time. She owned that bikini, let's face it. It was a very controversial piece, but she owned it. I mean, there's something I would like to quote here from actually one of the feminist pieces that I actually found while I was looking into this. There's been so many studies which mention this outfit. seriously, and what it represents. This is from Rosenberg and Elisa's Fraught History of Princess Leia's Infamous Bikini. Leia may be captive in these scenes, but she's not exactly a compliant fantasy. Instead, she's biding her time for the moment when she can put that fury into action, carrying out a carefully laid plan to rescue her lover. And when that moment comes, the bikini doesn't condemn Leia to passivity. She rises and uses the very chains that bind her to strangle the creature who tried to take away her power by turning her into a sex object.
Yeah.
And I think that just kind of like really sums up what we were saying there about it being the plan all along, and using, like what you said, Becca, using the very chains that bind her.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it feels like a real subversion, because like in a lot of films, if you think back to like the kind of 60s pin-up style, like leading ladies, like a kind of Bridget Bardot style heroine. They get in a bikini, like a James Bond girl, at the point where she's like in a bikini or in a kind of impractical cocktail dress, and then the hero comes in and swoops in and saves the day.
Yeah.
And this is an complete subversion of it. Like, you're expecting her to be rescued, and yet she's the one doing the rescuing. And
it's why I love that scene.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a great quote from Carrie as well about it. So after the movie was shot and released, some parents were kind of like, we've got issues with how this is being used for the action figure of her, including a chain around her neck on the figure.
Ooh.
Yeah. But Carrie had a great response. She said, "Just tell the kids that a giant slug captured me and forced me to wear that stupid outfit, and I killed him because I didn't like it." And there's your story.
To be fair, is exactly what happens. So.
Yeah, yes, it is.
Some toys need context, don't they?
And I think that's a great context, and I think it says a lot for Carrie as well, because I mean, it's well known that she didn't like it, that outfit, but look at it, it's coming out.
It's gone.
Oh.
But yeah, no, I think it says a lot for Carrie as well, and God rest her soul and stuff.
Yeah. She was just a cracker, like a firecracker. Do you know what I
mean?
Oh
God, yes.
What a hero! Just as a cat, like, I don't think that Princess Leia would have been as amazing, without having been brought to life by Carrie Fisher. Like, I think she
100%.
gave so much of that character. She gave so much fire to that character. It was just great. Yeah.
Yes.
R.I.P. Ms. Fisher.
Do you think that Leia is often underestimated by fans and all characters? Because I do. I've got a really big pet hate that she's underestimated by every single one, and she shows them up every single time.
I don't think necessarily by fans, but definitely by the characters in the movies and that.
Yeah, I think Leia has earned herself like an almost, like, she's one of those characters, like, you all you need to do is see a silhouette of her. There are very few characters where you're like, it's so iconic, I don't even need to see her face.
Yeah.
I just need to see one thing about her, the space buns.
Yeah.
And you know who she is. Like, so I think she's almost, like, I think she's held by a lot of fans in this very reverent space. At least like, certainly like the nerds that I know.
The ones that we like.
Yeah, but I do think characters will continue to underestimate her.
They will.
And yeah, and she continues that, because one of the controversial things I have about Leia is that in the newest films, that weird space resurrection that happens. Do you know when she's like blasted into space, and then and like, it's the first time you really see her using the Force.
Yeah.
And I've always kind of like, and I kind of flip flop on whether I love it or hate it. Because like, I think part of it like damages the like image that I had of her, and yet it's part of her story, and
it's part of her story. Yeah.
It's a complicated one, because her strength is quieter and more strategic. While others wield the lightsabers, she wields diplomacy, defiance, and she's probably the character with the most,
Yeah,
with the deepest emotional intelligence out of all of them.
for
Mhm.
sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I know it's kind of like I think it was kind of a thing where Leia didn't necessarily feel the need to use the Force because she had other methods that she could use. And it was only in that moment that she was absolutely necessarily going, right, I can't do anything else about this. The Force is my only way to
Yeah.
survive this. Because I mean, it's been hinted at like from the start. Yoda tells Luke when he's training him that the Force is strong in both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Um,
I think, and I suppose the thing for for me, it's about this like this is where I get super nerdy. Sorry, I'm,
It's okay. We
I'm going
love
into
for
like
we
it.
the
love super nerdiness.
Go for it.
so for me, there's this thing about like the Force is like accessible to everyone, but you have to like some people can are stronger in it than others, but no one can access it without training. So at what
Mhm.
point in Leah's life did she stop all of the diplomacy and running the Republic to go off and do training? Do you know what I mean? Like I think
Mm,
there's a part of me that felt like it was like it was unnecessarily make giving her like she didn't need that to be
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
She didn't need that to be strong.
mhm.
And in a way, I always liked the contrast of her of like Luke being the one who's given all the training and seeing like his journey into becoming this like very powerful Jedi
Yeah.
versus what happens when that potential isn't tapped into and isn't cultivated. And also, I think there was a weird thing around like Carrie Fisher dying before the film's released,
Mhm.
and so
Yeah.
like them having to finish some of the films using like special effects and things.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
was like, why not just blast her into space? What a way to go!
Yeah.
Like if you're like
It's the way
Princess
she would have
Leia, like
wanted it.
yeah, like going out in a massive space battle felt like a lot less of a shock than the death that she actually got.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's one of those ones I don't think they could have won either way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But I
yeah,
do
I
yeah,
think.
think
yeah,
I do think they could have done it better.
yeah,
Yeah. I do have I did read one theory about it though, because we know how obviously it's Kylo that's about to blow her ship up, but he hesitates and someone else does it.
yeah,
Could Kylo have not pushed her as well? Gave
yeah.
her the extra push. Yes, she was moving her fingers slightly and she was trying to channel it, I think, the obvious trying to channel it. But I think the push could have been made as well by Kylo, just as an option there, as
Yeah, yeah,
maybe she wasn't quite as strong with it. But also, I mean, in the later movies, when we're looking at some of like Luke and Leia's past, Luke does attempt to train her.
yes, yeah. And there are like I
But we
think there are
obviously
like
we don't know how far it goes.
comics of like
Yeah.
and books and things where they talk about
Mhm.
that. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like she doesn't need it. I kind of love
Oh, she
in
doesn't
Star
need
Wars.
it.
I kind of love the characters who are not force users. They
Yeah.
tend to be my favorite characters.
Yeah.
And I think in the first three slash 4 to 6,
Mhm.
depending on which order you're numbering them in. But in the original Star Wars trilogy, I think there was something great about like Han Solo being this like cocky cocksure gunslinger, Luke being this what is basically Force Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Leia kind of coming in and being this kind of more practical presence.
Yeah.
And she has and you're very right. Like right from the start, she is like refusing to give up. She's a woman with a cause that
Mhm.
is bigger than her home planet. That she watches like her entire planet die.
Yeah.
Right at the beginning of your kind of introduction to her. Yeah, it's an interesting thing.
Mm.
Yeah. So I don't know. I wonder if it was necessary, but it's also part like I accept it as canon. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm not
Yeah.
arguing that
Mhm.
it's not a thing. But I like the idea that maybe Kylo is there, like there's some sort of like thing happening.
Yeah.
Um
I mean, there's also the thing where like Jedi seem to know, like through the Force, when it is their time to die, and
yeah.
that kind of like opens like it's not your time, Leia.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's true. And you see that and you see the kind of acceptance in Obi-Wan Kenobi of like
Yeah.
when it's his time to go.
You
He's like
yeah, you see it there. I
yeah,
think
yeah.
you see it in Luke as well.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But what makes Leia a more compelling leader than any other leader in the Star Wars universe?
I liked how she seemed to feel every loss. She knew that this was going to cost a lot in terms of lives, energy, focus, everything like that. It was going to cost a lot doing this, like the rebellion and everything. And she kind of like has her own way. She has a certain, I find, especially in the later ones, Carrie seemed to have this look on her face when she was acknowledging there was a lot of losses that were happening.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like almost a, is it worth it type of debate going on in her head. But I kind of like the fact that she was acknowledging the loss, but still having to move on. Kind of like, I've got to be strong for everybody. She wasn't letting it show when she was giving orders and things like that.
Yeah, that's a gorgeous answer. I love that because that's also making me think of like her interactions with Poe Dameron.
Yeah. That's one of the ones where where she kept
Yeah.
telling him to come out, but they still like went in to take the dreadnought down.
Yeah. And I think there's something about her. So you're right. So there's this like kind of she pays an enormous price. So she loses her home planet. She kind of repeatedly sees these rebel bases like go down, and she never gives up on it. She always is holding this bigger picture of like it will have to pay a price, but we will win.
Yeah.
And she is able to like rally people to that cause. I also think her relationship with Poe Dameron is one of the moments where you see her be a real like you see what she's like as a boss.
Yeah.
Like, and I can imagine like if Leia was your line manager, like here's someone who's like she's ready for with a succession plan. So she doesn't see herself as essential. She sees the people around her as essential.
Yes.
And like that kind of setting him up, even though she knows he doesn't believe in himself, she makes sure to tell him that she believes in him, and she knows that when the time comes that he will be the one to step up and who will be able to like carry on her torch. I think is something that you kind of see, that kind of longevity view. Like she's not in it for like the fight right now, she's in it for the end of the war.
Yeah.
And I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, I think that she's probably one of the best leaders because she doesn't just lead with power. She very much, like you say, she leads with her heart. She balances compassion and conviction. She inspires loyalty because she never asks people to give more than she's willing to. And you don't see that in a lot of female characters.
No.
You really don't. Not even just in Star Wars, across many fandoms. There are only a very small amount of people, female characters that do that, and I love her. I love the character that we have here. That she's one of the greatest leaders, and just wish we saw more of her in future films.
So have you watched the
The
perfect
future
Sarah,
of the galaxy
Sarah's
is
come not only with the perfect hair but also
Yeah.
the perfect t-shirt.
Sarah's gone all in,
She's
and I
like
love
really
it.
nailed. Someone read the assignment.
Yes.
Oh, I commit.
I love that about you. Because one of the other things that I think. So, have you watched any of the like Obi-Wan?
Yes.
I watched the series. Yes.
Amazing. So I love Leia in that as well, baby Leia.
Baby Leia.
I think she's one of the best little characters that are in any show because she is exactly how I imagine my 8-year-old in a few years. Exactly.
Yeah. So wonderfully a child, and also like they nailed the casting. That little girl.
Yeah.
Vivian Blair, yes.
Yeah.
I read recently that she would like to come back and do teenage Leia years.
I would
think
love to
I
see
am
that. I
so
want to see
up
her
for
do
that. I think she would do a great job. Sorry if you can hear squealing in the background. My little girl is just running around
She's
squealing.
getting ready to start a rebellion, and that's
Yes.
okay. We welcome that.
We welcome.
Yes, I mean going back, I think there's hints of the Force when Leia's in that series.
Yeah.
how she's talking to her cousin and she knows how he feels.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think she does not know that it is the Force, but that is that to me is a hint there.
Yeah. There's
It's
also something I love in that where she's like, because we know that Luke Skywalker has this kind of droid obsession, and Anakin Skywalker also has this kind of droid
Yes,
obsession, and you
that's a good
see
point.
Leia has her own version of this like droid buddy syndrome thing
Yeah.
going on,
I
which
love
I really
that.
love the
Yes.
mirroring of that, and also getting to know her like adoptive parents for
Yeah.
the first time, because you never really kind of like hear about them in the film, but you see like the people who've shaped her, and I thought the way that they wrote those characters as these like very clever people who were forced to play like two sides of the war, and seeing them walk that really delicate diplomatic line while also trying to do the right thing and never
Yeah.
giving up on trying to do the right thing. I thought that was also lovely, like as a thing to add to the Leia canon.
Yes.
Yeah.
I liked how she's got attitude as well, but I mean, and that could be just the child in her,
Yeah.
but she's also got instincts beyond her years, I think. I mean, immediately when Obi comes to rescue her, why should I trust you? I mean, she hits him when he comes in the room.
I love
Again, like going back to Leia on when she's being rescued by Luke and Han.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like she hits him when he enters the room to rescue her. Why should I trust you?
I think the most dangerous place to be in a Star Wars film is trying to rescue Leia.
Yeah,
Because you know
100%.
you're going to get hit.
That is such a good quote. That is going to be such a good quote. I love it. That is so good.
Yeah, yeah.
But it does bring up, how do we think? How would Star Wars be different without this character?
It wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
It wouldn't happen.
The stress
I think-
on both your faces then.
I think
Star Wars.
the you know, there wouldn't be the rebellion wouldn't have taken off as much as it would.
No.
There wouldn't be anyone to rescue. Luke wouldn't leave his planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing would happen. She pretty is central to like everything that happens in Star Wars. There wouldn't be a Kylo Ren.
Yeah. There also wouldn't be an R2D2, and R2D2
Mhm.
really, like, I have two heroes for Star Wars. There's Leia, and I think I'm happy to say, yes, I think Leia is the hero of Star Wars, but I also think R2D2 is the hero of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Because there are key things that just don't happen if R2D2 isn't in that film. Like, he solves a lot of plot problems.
He does.
Yeah.
He does.
For the writers.
He does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely without Leia, you wouldn't have the rebellion. Well, you would probably still have the rebellion, but it wouldn't have a moral compass.
No.
Obviously the Star Wars legacy would be incomplete. And I've wrote Star Wars would lose one of its fiercest examples of courage, leadership, and hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. But yes, I mean, Luke just kind of like there's a thing with like kind of the men in this, they kind of hide away from failures a bit, whereas like Leia would face them all, because you've got when they kind of like start to veer towards the dark side for like Anakin and Ben, Kylo, their trainers give up on them and run away.
Yeah. But and also it happens with Han Solo. So what does Han Solo do? He basically pisses off on a ship again after the situation with Ben.
Yes.
And Leia doesn't see him for years and years, and yet she's still fighting the rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
And the same for Luke. What does Luke do when he fails and he has his like dark night of the soul? He runs off and becomes a hermit.
Yeah.
He literally hides.
Yeah.
Literally, that's what I mean. If this was left up to the men, it would have all just stopped happening when they ran off. The rebellion would have stopped. It's only because Leia is in these stories that it's continued, and that someone has been there to inspire like the next set of people to join the rebellion and things like that.
So relatable. Just casually keeping the world running while people have an existential crisis.
Just a bit.
Yeah.
God. I mean, I know we've kind of like touched on it with the being blasted out of the spaceship there. How do we feel about Leia as an older Leia, like in
Yeah.
episodes 7, 8, and 9?
I love that she becomes, because I think so. Like, I was talking about this with a good friend of mine who really hates the way that Luke is portrayed in 7, 8, and 9,
Hmm.
because he feels like it's kind of like a betrayal of like his hero. And I was like, oh, see, I think I kind of like Luke as a hermit. I feel like that's an interesting take for his character,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't need him because I have Leia being a
Yeah.
badass general.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like that's my hero in
I
this.
feel like episodes 4, 5, 6 are Luke's story,
Yeah,
but
Mm-hmm.
the rest of them are Leia.
yeah,
I 100%. That is my thing. You know, we got Anakin's story, Luke's story, Leia's story.
and it
Yeah.
does feel right. I think that a woman is ushering in the next generation.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
something that like, you know. I'm not saying that women have to have certain roles, and as a mother of no children, like
Eddie,
I am
Eddie,
not saying
Eddie's
apart
your
from
child.
Eddie he does think he's a baby. um, but like, you know, in terms of like having this kind of generational view and like holding what is essentially like a little rebellion family together, there's this like having a strong matriarch feels
Mhm.
like this really steady rock of a
Yeah.
presence. And I think coming back, you see less of her as like a kind of gun toting adventure person, and her more as this
Mhm.
matriarch figurehead, and people looking to her to make tough decisions that she's going to force them to make themselves as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I like the way you've put it, Becca, as like is preferable to this. I did read, however, the last three movies, the 7, 8, and 9, they were meant to be Han's movie to wrap up his story, Luke's movie to wrap up his story, and Leia's movie to wrap up her story. Obviously, they had to rewrite part of Leia's story due to Carrie passing. Um, but I think it was meant to be called Duel of Fates. I think I read that. But that was meant to be kind of like, yeah, she was meant to have a much bigger part to play in episode 9.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I think yours is more accurate as it stands, Becca, with the middle three being Leia's.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Being Leia's.
Yeah.
It's like her party that she's invited us all to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
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 for sure.
definitely.
I'm happy to let Carrie Fisher host us for 3 films.
Oh
Why
God,
not?
yes.
Best party we've ever
Yeah.
been
I'd
to.
love it. I'd love it. Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I liked the portrayal of the fact that, um, heroes age and
Yeah.
they let Leia age without kind of like doing too much CGI to bring her back a little bit or makeup. I liked how they showed all three of them as older. The rebellion has been going on that long. Um, and they're still there at the forefront. Well, Luke wasn't, but
Yeah.
Leia especially was still there at the forefront. Not so much frontline fighting at this stage, of course, but organizing, making plans, um, showing a lot of regret for wanting to do good for Ben,
Yeah.
but it kind of like at the same time pushed him and Han away. But she still powers on being a general, staying strong for the people who rely on her. Um, Again, I think a lot in The Force Awakens, she feels the deaths from the kill and the victim. It's I'm kind of thinking again, like it's touches of the Force again where she's feeling the upsets.
Yeah. And I also think she feels the weight, like one of the things that I think Carrie Fisher adds to the performance is that she portrays Leah as feeling the weight of the years.
Yes,
Like
that's a
you
bit
get
more
the
like
sense
I
that she's
say.
really like no, because yeah, it's you worded it beautifully, that kind of like, that she feels like the lives that have been lost and things, and it's you can see the weight on her.
Mhm.
And I think also there is that kind of, as she forms this relationship with Poe Dameron, like a real willingness to hand it over. Like I
Yeah.
think but unlike the other kind of male leaders in the films, it's interesting that Princess Leia doesn't hand it over until there's someone to hand it to.
Yes.
So there's a kind of guardianship as well that comes with that weight. So like she'll bear it for as long as she has to, and until someone's ready to take it.
Yeah.
I kind of feel that's a really good point there, Phoebes, because she doesn't immediately give it to Rey.
No.
She makes sure that Rey has had some training. Although when she first meets her, she can just tell that Rey has been through some shit
Yeah.
and needs a hug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost as if kind of like she was missing being a mother to Ben.
Yeah.
I mean, she knows when a child needs a hug and just kind of went in to treat her like her own child.
Yeah. And they also because Rey and Ben have this interesting like force relationship.
Yeah.
Which tugs and pulls at each other throughout the films. And I like if we're taking it like a kind of force lens on it, like how much of like that echo does she feel like by hugging Rey, can she like kind of right some of the wrongs and will Ben sense that? Like is there a
It's a complicated
family.
it's a complicated family, you know. But yeah, it's Leia in those films is very, very different than what we've seen. And I think I prefer her as mum mode or general mode than I do princess mode.
Yeah. I've called her sage mode.
Oh, I love that.
In the later episodes, I've said she's kind of like she's a guide, she's a trainer, she's a sage in the later movies.
Yeah, and that's such a good term. And I think it's just great that they've allowed us to see this version of her. And I know it upset a lot of people because obviously they fixated on the bikini and that aspect of it. But I really like the fact that they've allowed this character to grow up, to grow old, to progress. And I love the fact that yes, that bikini and that film maybe defines the character a little bit too much.
Right, yeah.
But we've been allowed to see this better version of her that isn't that.
Yeah.
I agree with you entirely. My favourite Leia is Leia just before she dies.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad but also beautiful.
Yeah.
I love the sage mode thing because how often are women allowed to be the sage? Do you know what I mean? Like it's always like an old wizened bearded Gandalf character.
Yeah.
But Sage is exactly what she's doing. She's playing that role in the kind of hero's journey.
Yeah.
Which is perfect.
I liked how, you know, like in your traditional hero story, it's kind of like the hero has losses, but they're kind of the ones who kind of gather their shit together and just get on with it and like defeat everything and things like that. But Leia has all of the losses. You know, she can feel it when Han goes. She can feel it when Luke goes. And then she can feel it when Ben goes, and it's only at that point that she is at peace to join everybody in the Force. She died a while before this happened, but it's only after that I guess her spirit could be at ease with it, and then she joins the Force as the blanket falls.
Yeah. Never has there been more of a mum act than I need to stay here until I know my son's okay or until his journey's done and then I'll pass on. Like, that feels like a very
it's
profoundly sweet and bittersweet thing.
Yeah. I mean, she basically gave her last breath and smidge of energy to save her son, who she thought would never return to her, would never return to the light side. Again, it's you know what? One thing I wanted to say about the appearance of Luke, in Last Jedi, when they're kind of like in trouble and in the bunker and everything's going to come through with that big massive laser, the mini Death Star.
Yeah.
she's kind of like at the point of, yes, she's strong, but sometimes she still needs the help to see the hope that she inspired in so many. Um, and I think that Luke's appearance does that for her. She feels at ease with it all. She kind of like, yes, like I know that there is a way out of this. I now have my hope returned, and then we can get on with doing what we need to do.
Yeah.
I think that you can also see that in the conversation with Ray at the end of that movie as well. There is hope. We have all we need, is
Yeah.
what she says to her.
Yeah, yeah. And that belief in the people around her, like, because what she never dwells in what she thinks. Like, you never see her have like, so you see her have moments of doubt or fear, but she never kind of like wallows in like in the kind of badness of the situation because she hasn't got time. She's like moving on to the next thing and the next thing. But what I like about what you've just said is this, like it's like, where does Leia get her energy from? I think it is from the people around her. Like, I think that's the thing that enables her to like be relentlessly on to the next thing, even in the face of total like near total collapse of the rebellion.
Yeah.
It's kind of like,
yeah.
sorry, go on.
No, I was just gonna say, and because it's constant, like she's constantly bombarded by like failure and loss and war. Yeah.
It's kind of like when slight side tangent here, but like if you go and see a band, if the crowd is into it, the band get into it more, which feeds the crowd, which feeds the band, and it goes round and round and round like that.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of like that with Leia and Hope. She feeds it in everybody else. Everybody else feeds back to her, which keeps her going, which keeps them going, and it's the circle, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that's a really good way to describe it because I think that is like what happens.
It's why I like that she can inspire so much because that then inspires her. It's just it all works.
Yeah.
But in one sentence, why is Leia the best character in Star Wars?
One sentence.
One sentence.
My one weakness. Being succinct.
To the point.
Yeah. Oh God, I'm gonna fail at this so hard. I think it's because she never gives up. Weirdly, I'm going to quote Galaxy Quest: "Never give up, never surrender." I feel like Leia is like, I think she's a never give up, never surrender.
Yeah.
And believe in the best of people.
Mm-hmm.
So even when you think that there's that's like someone's joined the dark side, Leia still believes that there is a choice to be made. And I think that is like that philosophy underpins all of Star Wars films, is that you might be on the dark side right now, but there you still have a choice in every moment.
Yeah.
And Leia like exemplifies that.
Okay. I've put Leia Organa is the best character in Star Wars because she embodies strength, grace, and unbreakable will, proving that true power lies in compassion and conviction. See, I feel a bit guilty because I didn't prep you for this one. I got the prep.
I don't even know this one.
It's on the
sheet. I think that she's the best character in Star Wars because she is a role model for not only the characters that she deals with in the movies, but she's also a role model for the younger generation of girls then and for many years to come.
That's a good one. So what we like to do in this podcast is, with our guests, we like to play a little mini D&D game where we have some dices. Sarah has the dices, and we ask you some just random questions, and Sarah gives you a choice of dices too.
Yeah. Ooh. I have 7 D8s in my hand. Whatever number I roll, it is the number of the question that Becca's going to ask. So we have. Oh, you can't see it. Massive green. Massive green. We have pink sparkle.
I mean,
We have knife. There's a knife inside that one.
Okay.
I've got
You've
a
got some
blue.
nice dice.
I've got a blue sparkle. You want to see my collection
The blue
downstairs, love?
sparkle looks like a Chessex. This is very like you can tell how nerdy. It looks like a Chessex dice set. They have very good. They don't compromise decoration for weighted. Good quality dice.
I have black sparkle.
Ooh.
I have a glow in the dark.
We love a glow in the dark.
I know. I feel spoilt for choice.
And a chunky metal.
Okay, so for me, it's between glow in the dark because that feels sci-fi-y.
Mm,
Black sparkle and pink sparkle, which
right.
will
Well,
surprise
you can
You can have
depend on
different ones.
you can have different ones. We're going to ask 3 or 4 questions.
Great. Can I have one of each, please?
One of each. One of those 3. Right, we'll
One
go
of
with
those
black
3.
sparkle first.
Yeah.
And that is a 3.
Oh, food. What is a food item you cannot live without?
A food item I cannot live without. I think it's gonna have to be something really boring like cheese. Cheese goes on nearly everything that I make.
Very true.
Whether
My
it's,
house too.
Like, yeah, whether it's like cream cheese or like just it like cheese needs to be a part. It's for me like some people are like it's not a meal unless I've got meat on the plate. I'm like I don't really feel satisfied unless I've had some sort of dairy. Even though my body hates me for it.
Love it.
Yeah. We will go glow in the dark next. 1.
80s versus 90s. Which movie? What movie is better? Which era of movies is better? 80s
I'm
or
gonna say
90s?
90. I'm a 90s baby, so like all of my nostalgia lives and breathes in the 90s. So yeah, that for me is just where it's at. Clueless, Alone.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I'm a 90s baby. Legally Blonde. Oh.
Now we're just feeling old.
Yeah,
Thanks,
yeah,
Phoebes.
You're welcome.
Oh dear. Right, pink sparkle.
Yeah.
5.
Oh, do you have any guilty pleasure music or games that people might not associate with you?
Recently, I've been getting really into Disney Dreamlight Valley.
Oh
But
my
I
god!
don't feel like that for people who know me. I don't think that's going to be much of a surprise because
It's
I live
not,
like
but
I'm
I'm
a 6-year-old.
surprised.
Are
Because
you
you normally,
surprised?
I am, because obviously I normally see you play Final Fantasy or what's the
Yeah.
other game that you've been playing recently?
Oblivion.
Do a
That's
lot of
it.
Oblivion, do a lot
Yeah.
of Final Fantasy, Skyrim.
Yeah,
Normally I'm in like I'm a fantasy sci-fi girl.
yeah.
But there's something I don't know. It's just really low pressure, and I don't stream it. It's like a game that's just for me.
I like it.
So I've been like, I'm not going to stream this one. This is my guilty pleasure. Yeah.
What about music?
Music wise, well, controversial. I don't think anything like if you enjoy music, it's not a guilty pleasure. I think you should just like embrace it. Having said that, I really love country music.
Yes.
And some of it is, and the reason for me it's a guilty pleasure is I have a complex relationship with religion, and some
Yeah.
of it is quite religious, but
Yeah.
like so like southern gospel country music.
Yeah.
I'm really here for it. Like basically the soundtrack for Oh Brother Where Art Thou.
Okay.
There's a lot of like
Yeah,
I'm
no, I
into
got
it.
you.
Even though
I
there's a
got
lot
you.
of God
I've
stuff,
got
I'm
that,
into it.
Love it.
Yeah.
I've learned so much about you in this last 5 minutes.
Oh, should we do one more?
Yes.
Oh, go on then.
It's you only chose 3 dice, Phoebes.
Oh, let's go for Big Green because I
Big
just
Green.
liked how big it was.
Big Green.
Yeah.
4.
Oh, what fictional world would you like to live in for a month?
Oh God, I
Question.
ask myself this all the time.
This one,
Do you know-
this question has actually came up every single podcast where we've asked questions.
Has it?
I think it
Yeah,
has, yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. It's obviously there's like some sort of magic in Sarah's
Yeah.
dice. Yeah, I think it changes based on my mood, But I do think I would like to live in like the classic book version of D&D 5e. So living in Toril, on the material plane. Probably somewhere, maybe not the Sword Coast though, probably somewhere further north. Yeah, where there's a bit more snow, a bit more forests.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
It's a fun
Cool.
world. There's dragons, there's monsters. What's not
Right.
to love?
Well, that's it. Yeah. Me and Becca are well known as massive dragon fans.
We love a dragon.
We love a dragon. We should just do a podcast on dragons one day.
Oh, I'd love that.
December. Dragons December.
Right, okay.
I love
Yep.
rate the top female dragons, and you know the number one is always going to be your lady from Shrek.
Right,
Always
okay then.
Mrs. Donkey.
Mrs. Donkey.
I hadn't thought of that one. Mhm.
Right. Let's actually answer the question that we started with at this for this
Oh,
podcast.
yeah.
Yes or no answer, is Leia the hero of Star Wars?
Yes.
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 Yeah.
There we go. Question resolved.
There we go.
Unanimously.
Oh,
It's
unanimously.
official for the internet.
Yeah. Yep. Us free nerds from the UK have decided. There we go.
Yep. Okay, right. Let's start to wrap this up then. So that is our episode on Princess Leia. Carrie Fisher, you are forever our princess. May the Force be with you, and the Force be with all of our listeners and viewers. Next episode, we are going to be looking at the right way, the wrong way. No, we're going the Jane way. We're going to do another character episode. Beebs, have you got anything to promote?
Yeah, come and have a watch of Anime Club. So I think by the time that this has gone out, this goes out on Saturday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll have just done Chainsaw Man. Oh no, we'll have just done Sakamoto Days, which was so much fun to do. So come and watch that. It's like also, how often do you get to have like a chubby dad bod as like the hero of an anime story? Like talk about like subverting things.
Yeah.
So yeah, come do that. And of course, go check out Obsidian Fleet YouTube channel for Becca and I doing Women of Trek. So we've done Mariner, we've done Jadzia Dax, and yeah.
Our next one is going to be B'Elanna Torres.
And the next one, it is going to be B'Elanna Torres.
It's a Voyager.
Yeah, Voyager, which has some great female characters, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I love that you guys are doing Janeway, because hands down the best captain ever.
Yes.
I
my
love
humble
Janeway.
opinion. I love her. I would like, some people don't like her, but I think it like they haven't really thought it through.
And they haven't watched it properly.
Because she's just a powerful figure trying to get everyone home in one piece.
I mean,
oh.
Everyone knows I love Kate Mulgrew. There's my mention of her for this episode.
Yeah, that is 100% why I chose this one, because we need to get this out of our system.
There's two things that will happen in Wonk. Sarah will say she loves Kate Mulgrew, and someone will be asked what fictional world they need to live in.
Yeah.
Those are two
It's normally,
universal
it used to be, we used to have a singing rendition of Down the Witch's Road, but we haven't done that for a while.
Oh, I love that as well. We're all doing it in our head now.
We are. We totally are, yes.
But no, that's it. That's it for plugs from me. Thank you.
Cool. Nerdy Up North main podcast will be live tomorrow with Batman, and their special guest will be Taffa the Darling, so that'll be a fun conversation. Monsters Up North will be back on Monday with Ghost Ship. There's also Top Grumps on Tuesday. Rumblecast have just done an episode on Wednesday gone. And of course, Anime Club. Nerdy Up North, have you covered?
Whatever you want, we've got it.
We got it. But thank you so much, Phoebes, for coming on this episode. I've really enjoyed this. I do. I have. If you fancy telling us what you like about Leia, leave us a comment below, and possibly any other suggestions for character chats in the future. Stay tuned for the Wonk submitted videos. And with that, it's time to sign off, Becca.
Yes, so keep your hearts full and your fandoms fierce as usual, and we will catch you in a couple of weeks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Help me, Obi-Wan. You're my only hope. One of the famous lines from Star Wars, delivered by Princess Leia or General Leia, depending which version you're up to in the saga. Yes, Princess Leia is one of the biggest icons in pop culture, not just movie culture, but pop culture. She has transcended so many different levels, from, like I say, the hair buns to the gold bikini. And not just that, she was a kick-ass. She didn't let anyone fight for her. She stood up for everything. She was everything that you wanted in a role model. And Carrie Fisher was fucking awesome. So a lot of love for Princess Leia, a lot of love for the wars. And just to say, I love you. I know.
Greetings, women of nerd culture. So, Princess Leia's this week, eh? Yeah, she's awesome. She's one of the, I would say, like, strongest-willed Star Wars characters, because a lot of people in those movies are kind of wishy-washy about what they want to do. You know, like Han and Luke are kind of like, am I the hero? Am I not the hero? Whereas she's just like, I need to stop space fascism. I'm the leader of the rebellion. I just love how she gives the awful Imperial agents a bunch of shit as soon as she gets, like, you know, captured, and she's like, you know, the sickest burn of, like, I smelled your stench when you got off the elevator. And, like, Tarkin doesn't show anything, but, you know, inside he's like, oh, ouch, my feelings. Yeah, super strong, fun character to watch, great jokes. And I just love how, like, again, she just never backs down from the evil guys. She doesn't really give them any sympathy, even when Luke's like, there's still good in him, I felt it. She's kind of like, whatever, dude, that's magic stuff. I'm gonna handle some guerrilla warfare on the teddy bear planet. Goodbye. Good luck with that. But yeah, awesome. Looking forward to seeing the episode. Thanks again, women. Bye. Beep.
What I really like about Leia, Princess, General, all of the above, is like, she's not waiting around to be rescued. She is badass. She's going to take care of that on her own. She's got some male chauvinists showing up who are patronising her, treating her like a princess. She shows them how to use guns properly. She's awesome at that. And she's a rebel leader. She's a diplomat. You know, she's got compassion, wisdom, and she proves that time and time again throughout all of the movies that she's in. She's iconic, inspiring, and utterly unforgettable. That is General Leia.